What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/ProRevenge. This story's called Mess With My Christmas? Pardon me as I ruin yours. I posted this in r/entitled parents, and it was suggested that you might enjoy it here. I have edited it slightly to comply with the Rule 11 for this sub. Enjoy! This slow burn starts a full year and a half before my plan came into effect. Earlier in the year, my dad quite sensibly suggested that with the size of our family Christmas party, we skip a generation with gifts to ease the financial strain as the extended family grew. At the time, I was struggling with my business and athletic career, and my wife, then girlfriend, was working on her second master's degree. Damn! So I suggested names from a hat, but he wanted to spoil all his grandchildren. I said, fair enough. I'll chip in for Oma's cruise and buy gifts for my step-siblings, but don't expect anything grand. Dramatis personae for that Christmas party. There's me, a 28-year-old at the time, heavyweight mixed martial artist and strength coach, aka small-time athlete working a day job to barely make rent in addition to training full-time. Martha, stepsister, 40-ish, an aging mombi whose only assets are starting to sag too much for them to be assets anymore, leaving her with no other definable personality traits. Jane, my oldest niece, 12, stepsister's daughter, imagine the most vapid teenager stereotype you can imagine, and multiply it by 1,000. Tim, my oldest nephew, 9, stepsister's son, living proof that you're never too young to be a butthole. Robert, stepbrother, 36, formerly cool dude who gave up on life when his kids were born. Years later would gain back enough willpower and gumption to physically assault his wife. Yikes. Tammy, 6, bro's daughter, sweet and shy girl, terrified by my mere presence. The wisest of the bunch, in my honest opinion. Baba! 7, bro's son, a generally nice kid who at this time was partway into evolving into a butthole after being constantly told to look up to and emulate Thing 2. I hope they don't all have voices because there's no way I'm gonna remember them. Tammy has brought a Nintendo DS and all the kids are struggling to see and play it together, so I foolishly offer to loan them mine to lighten the load. Tammy agrees to share with Jane and Bubba agrees to share with Tim. Having stupidly deprived myself of my means to escape social obligations, I go to the living room to acquire that much older cure for not wanting to deal with other people: alcohol. Not even having had enough time to pour a dram, my trained ear picks up from the kids' room the unmistakable sound of one human being pummeling another. I politely suggest to Robert that he might want to go have a look, but bro hasn't given two craps about anything in about 7 years, so he waves it off and I go to investigate. I walk in to see that Tim may be a butthole, but is not untalented, and is managing to strike, shove into a wall, and kick Bubba all at the same time, while attempting to play my DS with his other hand. Having decided his turn began the moment I left the room. Jane has simply wrested the DS from Tammy, who is now sitting in the corner crying. Oh my god. I shout for Martha, informing her that if she doesn't get in here to break things up before I count to 10, I would have a stern conversation with them. She turns up and separates the kids, and I retrieve my DS. Instead of giving Tim a lesson on not sharing and not hitting people, she proceeds to berate Bubba, the kid who was beaten, for simply giving up the DS to her little piece of crap and making her son look bad. Jane simply lets out a tween-age sigh for the ages and tosses the other DS into the crying Tammy. I then excuse myself from the party, thanking whatever gods may be that I don't have to provide gifts for any of those little craps. 6 months later, my firm belief in atheism is confirmed, as bro calls me and this conversation ensues.
Hey OP, while I really appreciated the gifts last year, you should really get something for the kids this year instead. Christmas is all about the children after all.
No, I turn up to chat with you and Dad and Oma. I really don't give two craps about the kids.
That's a mean thing anything to say about my kids. Don't you care about them?
You cared so much about them that at the last party, you couldn't be bothered to break up a fight where your son was being beaten bloody.
Tim is a good kid. Martha said he just had a bad day.
He was literally beating your child. You didn't put pics on social media for a week because of the bruises. If Tim were an adult and had that kind of a bad day, I'd have a stern conversation with him and convince him peacefully to lay on the floor until the police arrived.
Well, stepsis and I were talking, and we think you should buy stuff for the kids next year instead of us.
Well, I'm happy not to buy you anything, but I'm not getting crap for Martha's little craps, especially when she encourages that kind of behavior.
Well, if you aren't gonna get something for all the kids, you shouldn't get anything at all. It's not right if you don't treat them equally.
Done. Now, I'm sure they wish it has been this simple, but unfortunately, it wasn't. And I certainly wouldn't have written such a long-winded story if that were the payoff. Thanks for bearing with me so far. We're almost at the end. A few months later, about 2 weeks before Christmas, I get an email from my dad with links to various toys, mostly from Toys R Us, which still existed at the time. When I call him back to ask what that's all about, this conversation ensues. Hey, what's up? I got your email. Well, what's that all about?
Those gifts are for the kids for Christmas.
That's cool if you're getting them that. I'll see them when the kids open them.
No, that's for you to get them.
I don't buy for that generation, remember? And I already sent you my contribution to Oma's cruise.
You need to get stuff for the kids. Don't you want them to look up to you as an uncle?
Not really. Also, what part of my life suggests to you that they ought to look up to me as any sort of role model? You'd be better off telling them to grow up to be rock stars.
Not the point. Christmas is about the children. If you don't get them this stuff, I won't put your name on the card for Oma.
That's a crappy thing to do, considering I already paid into that.
Will you get the stuff or not?
Well, guess my name isn't going onto the card then. This will cost me more than a month's rent, so you can take this list and grease it up real nice.
Calm your jets. This is what they want.
I'll get them a token something, but I'm not taking out a loan.
Fine, just make it something they enjoy.
If what I get doesn't put a giant smile on each and every one of their faces, I'll buy you dinner at a steakhouse of your choosing.
That's the spirit. Talk to you later.
So, Christmas rolls around, and my wife and I have bought not just one, but 4 gifts for each of the little ones, and wrapped them all beautifully. My dad correctly assumes it's all probably from the dollar store, but it's nicely wrapped, and he gives me a look of approval as I place it under the tree. My wife and I schmooze for a bit, then suggest that since we brought several gifts for each of the kids, why don't they open one each before dinner so they have something to do while they wait? Their parents, of course, agree, as it gives them more of a reason to ignore their kids and talk about them instead. So they send us off to hand out gifts to their kids. Martha's looking especially smug. As they begin to unwrap them, I prepare the camera as my wife goes for our coats. I stick around just long enough to immortalize on film the big poo-eating grin on each of the kids' faces as they see what their gift is. Less than 1 minute later, the first blast from the air horn, Tim's gift, can be heard in the hallway clearly by my wife and I as we make our way to the elevator. I have no idea how much of the bulk pack of silly string, Tammy's gift, or the 36 rainbow pack of off-brand Sharpies, Bubba's gift, ended up on the walls, but I do know they repainted the place next month. Whether or not the pile of slap-on bracelets we got for Jane ended up on the wrists and legs of the parents, as they tried to contain the other 3, will be left to the imagination. But I like to think they all ended up in the height of 80s fashion before Boxing Day. I may never know if they opened the rest of their presents. Everyone got a copy of each other's gifts, you know, for fairness, plus a bunch of gross and mildly inappropriate temporary tattoos. In the confusion, none of them noticed either me or my wife leaving. I'm certain at some point they did notice the pretty gold envelope addressed to the parents on the tree. Inside was a very pretty card, blank but for the following note. This was a warning shot from the top of my head. I've got a whole year to get creative for next time. Merry Christmas, everyone. I never bought anyone steak dinner. However, I enjoyed several more Christmases with my Oma and Dad until they passed, and I stopped seeing that side of the family at all. No mention of this incident or gifts for the kids was ever made again. Edit. Thanks so much for the awards, everyone, especially for my first gold. But remember, your local food bank and its recipients need more help more than my post needs icons behind it. So if you enjoyed my festive tale of revenge, you'll put a much bigger grin on my face by helping out those in need than sending money to Reddit. What a very sweet message at the end, and that is some amazing revenge you got. Oh, thank you for sharing, and I love a good Christmas story. It is a very happy thing to read. And I'm pretty sure this will be released on Christmas Eve. So, Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy Holidays, and Good New Year. Alright, this story's called X Bought Himself a Gift as a Gift to Me, so I did the same. This happened a couple of Christmases ago, but someone told me to post this story here, so here I am. About 4 months before Christmas 2018, my boyfriend at the time accidentally spilt a drink on his laptop and wrecked the thing. He couldn't afford a new one, and it was his main source of entertainment. So I said he could borrow mine since I didn't use it that often. Everything was fine until Christmas that year. He still hadn't gotten a new laptop by that point, but I assumed that was because he was saving up to get himself a decent laptop rather than a crappy one he could just about afford. Anyway, he handed me my gift, and to my surprise, it was a brand new laptop. I assumed that he bought me a laptop to replace my old one and was going to take my old laptop for himself. Nope. His gift to me was buying himself a new laptop so that he didn't have to use mine anymore. Nothing else, just that. I was outraged, but then a petty thought crossed my mind. Little did he know that I'd fallen into a bit of money, so I had decided to surprise him with a top-of-the-range gaming laptop, which was easily double the price and quality of the one that he had bought himself. So I decided to give him his present. When he opened it, his eyes lit up, and he looked so excited at the prospect of his new laptop. But when he started to open it, I took it back from him and told him that it was actually for me, and my gift was letting him keep his new laptop without me trying to use it all of the time. Of course, we got into a massive argument that eventually led to us breaking up. Thankfully, we exchanged gifts a few days before Christmas, so the day wasn't ruined. I returned the laptop and used the money to go on a spontaneous holiday with my friend for New Year's Eve. No regrets. What? Okay, OP, you handled that in the best possible way. That is so freaking funny. That dude is a loser. But, yeah, good job. I hope it was, like, a lot of fun, that New Year's. And I hope the breakup didn't ruin anything, even if it was a few days before Christmas. Pain doesn't go away that quick. Alright, this story's called Relatives Took Our Hospitality for Granted, so I sent them a package back. Longtime lurker, first-time poster. Long back when we, 28 then, were living in a centrally located metropolitan city, DH's uncle, I don't know who DH is. DH's uncle, let's say, Don Houston. Don Houston's uncle and family came home for holidays. Now, he is the prodigal son of the family, and his wife is super entitled. One child, elder to us both, but behaved like a teenager. Since I was new in the family, I wasn't yet in their awe. Don Houston wanted them to feel welcomed and gave them our bedroom. Me and him were relegated to the living room since both the bedrooms were occupied by the family. Now, this would have still been a pleasant visit if they have some penchant for housework. They wouldn't lift a finger and wanted me to cook, clean, and whatnot. A couple of days into the visit, Aunt's sister also came to live with us for a while, without asking or informing us. They'd use the whole house as if it were theirs and would talk to me only when they needed food or coffee or such. After a week when they left, I discovered the ladies left their closed, used innerwear included in our bathroom. The child had stuffed empty packets of stevia over my kitchen counter. I was furious and packed everything to show my mother-in-law. She's a sweet lady though. Before I could meet my mother-in-law, we were informed that the uncle was coming back and would stay with us for a couple of days before heading back. I had the package ready and decided to return all their stuff. Empty packets, used underwear, everything. It ended up being very heavy heavy. So while he was leaving, I told him his wife had forgotten some of her stuff last time. I gave the package to him and he took it with him on an international flight. I wish I could see the aunt's face when she opened the package. Since that day, they never stayed at our house when they came for the holidays. P.S. Oh, dear husband, not Don Houston. Okay, you must be familiar with its updated version, significant other. I'm older than the usual Reddit demographic. 2. Thank you for all the upvotes and the awards. I fear this was pettier than the substandards. 3. I just realized mobile messes up all the formatting. Apologies. Oh, by the way, ProRevenge was dry, so I had to get some stories from Petty Revenge. Hope you don't mind. This story is something that I could imagine being very frustrating. Who does that at other people's houses? Yikes. Alright, this story's called Coworker's Christmas Present Revenge. I am not the owner of this story, it is my little sister's from this week. Hello! I intern for a very liberal representative in the House. Not the really cool ones, but she's up there. In our state, our other representatives are more on the conservative side, but there's this one intern that has completely opposite viewpoints. Think MAGA enthusiast. But he only shows his true colors out of the office, so we never have proof. Oh god. Now this year, we are all doing Secret Gifter. Secret Santa, but inclusive and completely anonymous. So I know this guy's girlfriend. She's super sweet and works for one of the squad, and I have gotten him the perfect gift. And this man's gift basket is a $5 4-pack of chick flick movies, a blanket, a cheap bottle of wine, face masks, and bath bombs, re-gifted unopened, popcorn, and a night off from work. Asked the boss. He was complaining to the boys last week that my girlfriend wants a lame evening with me. I never get that crap because I don't want to get the gay. Exact quote. Merry Christmas, jackass. Okay, at first I thought it was funny because you're like, we could never find proof that he was a MAGA guy. I think it's important for either side to not freaking do this witch hunt crap, okay? Dissenting voices are important, as long as they're not, you know, saying really stupid stuff like what this guy said. Now I get it.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.